I'm just trying to point out that you really don't know much about the charge against you, and you can still represent yourself if you think that's wise, but I'm just pointing out to you, you don't know very much about what you're coming up against.
Accused murderer Robert Tellez elects to represent himself as he stands trial for the high-profile murder of a Las Vegas investigative reporter.
You just indicate you want to represent yourself for a couple months. I mean, I'm not playing games with you. This is very, very serious. You are charged with first-degree murder. I mean, you're facing life without the possibility of parole. I would think that you would take it a little more serious.
Tellez appeared in court on Tuesday as presiding judge Michelle Leavitt went through nearly 45 minutes of questioning to determine whether he is fit to act as his own attorney.
It is not a game. I will not allow you to treat it as a game. And you're a lawyer and you know, oh, I want to represent myself for 2 months until I can get a new lawyer. You want a new lawyer? That's fine. I'll give you time to hire a new lawyer.
Yeah, unfortunately, I cannot, I would prefer to represent myself.
Tellez, a former Nevada County administrator, was arrested last year after Las Vegas Review-Journal reporter Jeff German was found stabbed to death outside of his home on September 4th. After his death, investigators released surveillance photos of a suspect and a vehicle of interest. Days later, Tellez was arrested in connection to German's murder.
Okay, you understand you do have the right to be represented by counsel.
I do.
And you understand you have the right to be represented by counsel at all critical stages.
I do.
And you understand that it's almost always more wise to be represented by counsel.
I do.
Especially when you're being charged with first-degree murder and facing life without the possibility of parole.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes.
Prior to his death, German published a series of investigative reports on Tellez, accusing him of abusing staff in his public administrator office by bullying and engaging in inappropriate sexual relationships. After German's articles were published, Tellez lost his bid for re-election and even lashed out at German via Twitter.
But you want to dismiss your attorney because he can't be, and quite frankly, I think in a first-degree murder case, a November 6th trial date is pretty aggressive.
Well, I appreciate the concern, Your Honor, but I do want to go ahead and continue forward.
Video of Tuesday's hearing shows Judge Leavitt quizzing Tellez on his background as an attorney, noting that he has little experience practicing criminal law.
Where have you practiced law? And what kind of law?
I own my own law firm.
Okay, what kind of law did you practice?
Probate and estate law.
So civil?
Correct.
Did you ever do any criminal?
I did some criminal, yes.
Tellez argues that even though his experience in criminal court may be lacking, he could do better than his defense attorney, Damian Sheets. Sheets is the third defense attorney Tellez hired since his arrest.
How many of those do you think you did?
Probably half a dozen or so.
So 6? DUIs and or battery domestic violence?
Correct.
Have you ever represented anyone on a felony?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Did you take any criminal law classes
I did,
in
Your Honor.
law school?
Criminal law and criminal procedure, yes.
Okay. And you think that has equipped you to represent yourself?
Not just that, Your Honor.
Okay. Go ahead, tell me. Why do you want to represent yourself?
Again, there are a few different concerns, to be frank. I want to make sure that, number one, because we unfortunately couldn't see eye to eye on when the trial should be, me and Mr. Sheets. Again, Mr. Sheets, great attorney, really good man.
Yes, he is.
But yes, but
That's why it's kind of surprising
Sure.
you would put yourself in this position.
but again, this is a temporary situation. I intend to represent myself for at least a couple of months while I make sure that I'm in a position to hire another attorney. Because again,
Okay, no,
Okay,
we're
now,
not
let
playing
me
games,
ask
okay,
you-
so Mr. Tellez, we're
Sure.
not playing games.
All right.
You're not gonna represent yourself for a couple months and then hire someone else. If you wanna hire someone else, that's fine. I'm gonna give you an opportunity to do that.
well, I want to represent myself, Your Honor.
Tellez tells Judge Leavitt he wants to represent himself to expedite his coming trial. She disagrees, though, saying a trial of this magnitude cannot be rushed.
So throughout the process, you're going to represent yourself at trial.
If that's the choice, then yes, Your Honor.
Okay, what is the issue that, the date of trial?
I don't know if the court received my non-opposition and my motion to reset the trial date. I do,
When do you want the trial date?
likely August or September, Your Honor.
It's hard for me to believe you want to dismiss Mr. Sheets.
I understand.
Okay, but you want to dismiss him
Yes, sir.
because you think you're going to get a trial date earlier?
Yeah, no, that would be the most appropriate thing to say, yes.
Okay, but you
Yes.
probably won't.
Okay.
I mean, do you understand, does that change your analysis?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, you still want to represent yourself even if you have to go to trial in November.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and you understand that once you decide on self-representation, you don't get to change your mind in the middle of the proceedings and request an attorney?
Yes, sir.
Because I think I made it pretty clear we're not playing games here.
Right.
And that even if you represent yourself, you're probably not going to get that trial date moved up.
Okay, Your Honor.
Okay, because again, I really think that that November date was an aggressive trial date.
As the hearing continues, Judge Levitt repeatedly asks Tellez if he understands what he's committing to.
And you understand that criminal law is a complex area where experience and professional training is both required and desirable.
Yes, sir.
And you understand you don't have that. I mean, you have legal training, but you don't have the legal, I mean, nowhere near what Mr. Sheets has or Mr. Hamner from the state.
I appreciate the concern, Your Honor.
Okay, I'm not here to give you concern. I'm here to ask questions and you're here to answer them, okay?
Okay.
So you understand that criminal law is a very complex area of law and you do not, based on what you're telling me, have the legal training or experience in that area.
I think it's a compound question. I'd say that, yes, I understand the concern, and I don't know that, I won't be
If
effective
you think it's
representing myself.
compound, answer the first one, then the second
So
one.
then yes and no.
Okay, so you don't have the experience. You've told me you've represented misdemeanors, you've never represented anyone in a felony. How do you think you're going to prepare yourself to be ready to go to trial?
That's trial strategy, Your Honor.
Okay, you're in custody, so you understand that you don't have available to you a law library, the ability to research whatever you want, file motions. You understand, I mean, I guess you can file motions, but you do not have like what Mr. Sheets has.
I understand, Your Honor.
Okay, do you understand that criminal law is a complex area?
I do.
Even though you really never practiced in a felony courtroom, right?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay. And you understand that the attorneys from the state of Nevada, they have some of their most experienced attorneys on this case
Yes, Your Honor.
with multiple years of practice, and all they do is prosecute category A felonies. Do you understand that?
I do, Your Honor.
And you understand you would be up against that.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you understand that the court can't help you.
Yes, Your Honor.
I mean, that you would be, on your own because you decided to represent yourself.
I understand, Your Honor.
Multiple times, Judge Levitt goes on record noting Tellez answered her questions incorrectly, again pointing out that he has little experience in criminal cases.
I mean, I'm just trying to make a record that you're not very
I understand
knowledgeable about what's going to happen,
I understand, Your
but
Honor.
you still want to represent yourself.
That is correct.
You could waive your right to a penalty hearing as well and allow the court. But again, you didn't know that, did you?
Well, I did know
But
that.
Mr.
again,
Sheets knows that.
And in jury trials, I do understand that the charge or the sentence is imposed by the jury. Excuse me. Yes.
In what?
In a jury trial, if the verdict comes back guilty, then it's incumbent upon the jury to.
That's not true.
Okay.
Do you know how to select a jury in a criminal case? Do you know how many perjury challenges you get?
I believe it's 12, but then I will certainly research that and find out.
Okay, so that's not correct. So
Okay.
I'm just telling you that that's not correct.
Very good.
Judge Levitt says multiple times that she believes it is unwise for him to represent himself.
And you understand that it's you're the person that's on trial.
Yes, sir.
And you know that a lot of times when it comes to ourselves, we are not very objective about ourselves, which is why it's always unwise to represent yourself in any matter, let alone a first-degree murder case.
I understand, Your Honor.
Because, okay, I understand that you understand the English language. Okay, so I need to know, when my questions call for a yes or no, I would ask you to answer accordingly,
Okay.
because I do understand that you understand the English language. Because I don't think anyone ever does a good job representing themselves. It's always better to have someone that's objective and unbiased that can give you the appropriate advice. I mean, and I know you're a lawyer and you think you can represent yourself, but I don't think it's ever a good idea to represent yourself. I don't think it's a good idea to represent yourself in a misdemeanor case, let alone one where the consequences could be as severe as restricting your liberty for the rest of your life.
At one point, Judge Leavitt calls out Tellez, believing he clearly has no trial strategy in place.
And you think you're able to sit in judgment of that?
Again, Your Honor, that's discussing trial strategy.
I'm not asking any trial strategy.
No,
That is a general question. I'm not asking, I would not ask you what your trial strategy is, because it's pretty clear you don't have one at this point.
In the end, Judge Leavitt rules that Tellez will be allowed to represent himself.
And you understand that once you decide on self-representation, you don't get to change your mind in the middle of the proceedings and request an attorney?
Yes, sir.
Because I think I made it pretty clear we're not playing games here.
Right.
And that even if you represent yourself, you're probably not going to get that trial date moved up.
Okay, Your Honor.
Okay, because again, I really think that November date was an aggressive trial date. Okay, this time I'm going to make a determination that you are waiving your right to counsel, that you made that decision freely, voluntarily, and intelligently. So at this point, do you want standby counsel?
Please.
Before court was adjourned, Judge Leavitt made clear that Tellez could not change his mind about self-representation or argue ineffective counsel on appeal. From here, additional counsel could be appointed in Tellez's case. Reporting for Law&Crime Network, I'm Gillespie.